All right, so you're seriously considering buying a house. But before you do anything, stop right now. Make sure you stick around. I'm giving you 6 things you don't want to do when you go to purchase a house. That's all coming up next. Hey, what's up everybody? It's Bob Dzienis with eXp Realty. I'm a local realtor here in Bergen County, New Jersey. Thanks so much for joining me on my channel today. I really appreciate it. So if you're watching me today, you probably want to know more about real estate here in Bergen County or Northern New Jersey. And if that's the case, be sure to click that like button for me, but also consider subscribing, because every week I'll have new videos about anything and everything Bergen County as well as Northern New Jersey. Also be sure to click that bell to get reminded of new uploads every single Friday. All right, so let's just get into it. Let's talk about those 6 things you don't want to do if you're considering purchasing a house. Buying a house is such an exciting thing. There's just so many benefits to home ownership. But the question becomes, what do I have to do to actually go through the process of purchasing a house? And since it can be scary and it's probably the biggest purchase you'll ever make in your life, you want to make sure you go through the process correctly. Try to avoid any mistakes, and really just have a good foundation of the overall process and what's involved with purchasing a home. That's the whole purpose of today's video. I'm going to give you 6 reasons why you don't want to do certain things to make sure that you can smoothly get to that closing table for your house purchase. So before I get into those reasons, those things not to do, if you like free stuff, be sure to stick around till the end of the video. I've got a great download that you can get, and it's really going to help you with that home purchase when you're ready to actually go through the process. So stick to the end, I'll give you more details of how to get that information. All right, tip number 1 of what not to do when you're purchasing a home: never, ever, ever assume what your credit might be. One of the most important things you can do when you decide it's time to purchase a home is really understand your credit situation. I work with a lot of buyers, or I've worked with buyers over the years who've said, oh, I think my credit is this and I've got good credit and all of that, but what does good credit actually mean? Because as you start to work with a lender, if you need a mortgage, they're going to pull your credit and look at all of your financial information to see what you can actually qualify for in regards to a mortgage. And one of the first things I tell home buyers is just really get a handle on your credit before you go down the road of working with a mortgage partner, but also going through the process of buying a home. So if you've had some credit issues, maybe you've missed some payments, that can also be tacked onto your credit report, which could ultimately impact your credit score, which in turn can actually impact what kind of a mortgage you can get and what your actual percentage rate could be for that mortgage. So one of the first things you can do to really set yourself up for success is figure out and find out what your actual credit rating is. You're actually able to do this annually for free at annualcreditreport.com. There you'll get some insights and perspective of what your actual credit rating is. It really will give you some good perspective to figure out, all right, if you're in the 500 range versus the 800 range, that really can make all the difference if you're trying to purchase a house and you need to get a mortgage. So my advice is just take a step back, really look at your entire financial picture, and part of that is knowing what your actual credit rating is. And the reason I bring this up is because when I have first initial conversations with buyers, there always seems to be this assumption of what a credit rating might be. Oh yeah, it's the high 700s. But it's really important to be as transparent as possible with the lending person that you choose, as well as the real estate agent that you'll work with. Having that background and knowing that scenario will allow the agent, will allow the lender to work with you to see what it is that you can possibly afford and the type of annual percentage rate that you would get on a mortgage. And the lender might be able to explore various programs that could potentially help you if your credit maybe is not at the higher levels. You could be wasting your time, you could be wasting an agent's time as well as a lender's time. So really set yourself up for success. I know sometimes it can be scary to see the reality of it, but having that full foundational understanding really can help you in the process. All right, the second thing not to do, don't go looking at homes before you're pre-approved. And here's why. The lender is really going to work with you to figure out what you can afford. They want to ensure that you have a stable job, and they're going to look at your financial picture for the past 2 years. And they'll be factoring in various aspects that are part of the home purchase process, right? You've got to consider taxes on a property, insurance that would be required on a property. Those are all additional expenses that come into the purchase of a home. But the mortgage lender is going to give you your actual number of what you could afford. And they'll pretty much give you that highest of the high, like where you could go at your max. And my recommendation is never to go to that max, because then you're just paying off a house and you don't have money possibly for other things. So just because your lender says you might be able to get at this level doesn't mean you want to go and find homes at that level. With all the other expenses, maybe it's an HOA fee if you're looking at a townhouse, town taxes, maintenance issues, you have an inspection that you have to pay for. So get that accurate number from your mortgage lender by getting that pre-approval done first. You're just gonna know what your budget is, and it's going to give you the right perspective of what's necessary so you know where to look, because that could impact where you're looking as well. And unfortunately in this business, there's a lot of wasted time that happens. I'll get buyers who've reached out to me and said, I wanna buy a house, I wanna look at this house, okay, great. And when I start asking the questions about, well, have you been pre-approved? Have you gone through the process of looking at your credit? And I hear the answer of no or not yet, but I'm assuming this is where it's going to be, I most of the time will actually hold off on working with that individual until they've kind of set themselves up. You know, my time is valuable as well as your time. So I want to make sure that it's as effective as possible and we're finding the properties that meet your needs and wants, as well as hitting your budget. All right, the third thing not to do when you're purchasing a house, don't just pick any lender. It's really, really important to shop around. Just like if you're shopping for anything, you're shopping for a new car, you're gonna shop around to find the best deal on that car, isn't that true? By the way, if you're about to buy a house, don't buy a car. That's a high ticket item. You don't wanna purchase that, especially when you're going through the process of purchasing a home. So don't go with that first lender that you find. Always work with your real estate agent. They can give you some recommendations of lending partners that can help you. It's at least 2 to 3 people so that you can shop around and try to get the best rate, number one, but also develop a relationship and trust with that individual, knowing that they're going to help you through the process. And each lender that you talk to, they might have various programs or different programs that you might be able to take advantage of. So it's really important to shop around, find someone you trust, see what makes the most sense for you, and how that can fit into your financial situation. All right, the fourth thing not to do when you're purchasing a house is not hiring a real estate agent. So first off, when I say hiring, you don't pay for a buyer's agent, whether you realize that or not. You don't pay me. If I was representing you as your buyer's agent, you pay me nothing. There are some other expenses that are involved, obviously, when it comes to an inspection, for instance, as well as hiring an attorney here in New Jersey, and your closing costs as well. But if you were to hire me or any real estate agent to represent you as a buyer's agent, you're not going to have to pay us any money. But it's our job, if you do hire us, to utilize us to help you get to that closing table. We're going to represent you as your fiduciary, and we'll always have your best interest at heart. But some people, when they go into the home buying process, you're gonna go on Zillow, you're gonna go on Realtor.com, that's where everybody goes. And it's a great starting point. Start getting perspective, start getting an idea of areas and places that you wanna consider for your home searches. But when you work with a real estate agent, when you hire a real estate agent, and the agent knows your budget, they know that you've been pre-approved, and the agent really understands your needs and wants, that agent, like myself, we're going to be able to find the areas, the sections, the types of homes that are really important to you within the guidelines of your budget and your financial situation. But by working with a buyer's agent, they'll properly represent you and work with you through the entire process of purchasing that home from start all the way to the closing table. They'll negotiate for you, they'll fight for you, they'll present your offer, they'll renegotiate for you, they'll give you recommended vendors, and plenty of guidance and insights to make the process just that much easier. Work with an agent early on in the process, it's just gonna make it go much, much smoother. All right, number 5, the 5th thing not to do when purchasing a home, don't open any lines of credit. And that really means right before the home purchase process, you're in that mindset of, I think I wanna buy a house. Don't buy anything big. Don't open any lines of credit because you're gonna start the process of purchasing a home. Also, buy nothing, don't change anything once you have been pre-approved. Big ticket items that hit a credit card can screw up your deal. Buying a piece of furniture on credit, don't buy a car. Don't do it while you're under contract in a deal. That actually could flag your mortgage lender, and that can completely impact your credit situation. And I get it, people get excited. Ooh, I'm in the process of buying a home. Yay, 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 woohoo. I gotta buy furniture, I need something to celebrate. I should buy a car, right? don't do it. Your credit is going to be pulled at the very beginning of the transaction. As you're going through the process of purchasing a home, your credit is going to get pulled one more time to make sure that you still have a job and nothing has flagged the credit, so that your credit situation is basically the same that it was when you first started the process. If there's a major change in that process, that could impact your entire deal. We don't want your deal to die because you purchased a $3,000 couch. So once you're pre-approved, keep your situation exactly the same until you close. Another important thing to note here is to not change your job while you are under contract. Sure, it could be more money, but it's showing instability, and lenders don't want the instability. Keep everything status quo until after that closing happens. All right, the final thing not to do, number 6, is that right? That's 6, right? Is never, ever, ever waive an inspection just to get a house. In very competitive situations where there's not a lot of inventory and there's multiple offers on homes, people who are making offers on homes, they might look for ways to get creative to figure out, how can I possibly get this house for my client? And one strategy, which is, I think, very risky, is to potentially waive an inspection done on a home, or waive any inspection contingency. So let's say there's a safety issue that pops up and you say, no, I'm not gonna worry about it. I want the house as is. I'm gonna take it as is. I'm gonna take that risk. Never waive an inspection. It's your right to figure out what you're purchasing, and you should spend the money to have an inspection done. It's going to give you that full perspective, that full picture of what you're purchasing. And I've seen deals where people say, I want this house so badly, I'm gonna waive the inspection. I'm not gonna ask for any renegotiation of inspection items. So if you're seriously considering that and you don't have the funding later to make any of those needed improvements because of what was discovered, or if you didn't get the inspection done to begin with and then something happens, it's on you. And if you don't have the money, it's still on you. So I think that's a really unnecessary risk to take, because you might feel desperate to get a house, so let me come up with a creative way to try to get my offer accepted in a very competitive situation. Get the inspection done. Never waive an inspection. It's your right. You want to know what you're purchasing. All right, so there you go. 6 things not to do when you go into the process of purchasing a home. The more that you can set yourself up for success, the better you'll be, and the more opportunity you'll have to really enjoy that final purchase when all is said and done. All right, so with that said, I told you I had some free stuff. I have a great process document for purchasing a home. It's my home buyer's guide. If you just take a look down in the description, I've got a link. Click the link, input your information, and you'll receive a downloadable copy right away. This document is going to take you through the whole process, everything that you want to consider and think about as you're going from start to finish to purchase that home. So I want to thank you guys again for watching. I'm Bob Dzienis with eXp Realty here in Bergen County, New Jersey. And if you ever have any questions about the real estate market here in Bergen County or Northern New Jersey, feel free to reach out. Here's my information, my email, my cell phone. I'm happy to answer any questions that you have. Just shoot me an email, send me a text, or give me a call, and let's have a discussion to see how I can help you. Just a reminder too, if you want to learn more about real estate here in Bergen County as well as Northern New Jersey, go ahead and click that like button. Also consider subscribing and click the bell to be reminded of weekly videos that come out every Friday here on my channel. Thanks again for watching, everybody, and I'll see you next week with my next video.